Vasudeve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschataveshattarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Long time no see. Glad you could come.
Ram Sharan.
Huh?
Ram Sharan Prabhu, she came.
Okay. See it tonight too, right? You look very happy. Huh?
Because of your darshan, that's what she.
I'm not going to speak in Bengali.
Oh,
It's okay.
yes.
Okay. This is part 2 of the discussion about Hanuman, and we're not going to complete everything. Where we ended up, there was some very nice details about life of Hanuman, interacting with Garuda and this and that very nice descriptions from Brihad Bhagavatamrita and many sources. Well, we heard about his appearance as the son of Vayu and Anjana, and his behavior when he was little, and his, just that, the other thing, chasing after the sun because he thought it was a fruit, and Indra got nervous, so Indra hit him with a thunderbolt, and he fell from the sky. He had powers, he had mystic powers, he could fly in the sky, just a little boy. Little Vanara boy. Let's see the wind god's son. And then when he fell, things happened. He was given benedictions by various demigods. He had all these powers which he would forget because he was being a naughty Hanuman. So they cursed him that he would forget his powers until somebody reminded him conveniently. Jambavan was present, so Jambavan knew of that loophole in his forgetfulness, so he reminded him at the right time. So we're not going to get as far as Sundarakanda, but at this particular point where we left off yesterday, he was the minister of Sugriva, and he did the ministerial duty of checking out Ram and Lakshman to see are they friend or foe, and immediately concluded he's not only friend, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Introductions were made. He brought them on top of Rishimukh Mountain. Rishimukh Mountain was one place where Bali wouldn't go. So that was a safe place for Sugriva. So he and his followers made their residence on top of this mountain. And this is a nice little painting showing they're on top of a mountain. Isn't it a nice mountain? You know, artist's conception. And in the bottom right, that's Sugriva and Ram with a mustache, making their little vow of friendship. Here's their discussion. It's the same type of art. There's Sugriva, there's Hanuman, and Ram and Lakshman. Of course, many other Vanaras that were present. So we introduced at the very beginning, yesterday, Friday, was Lakshman was also in the role of Guru Tattva. And Hanuman likewise has the role of Guru Tattva or an Acharya, establishing relationship between one living entity and the supreme living entity. So that was a function of his. And one living entity maybe, commonly is, forgetful. So it's a gesture of reminder of that which is forgotten. Same as what Srila Prabhupada said so many times. I've come to remind you what you have forgotten. And that forgotten entity or forgotten condition is our eternal relationship with the personality of Godhead. And here's a painting of Sugriva on the left, and the very nature of how they made their exchange, a shaking of hands. That's an indication of friendship. On the right, there's Hanuman, and then there's Vanaras that were associates of Sugriva. But the Sugriva and Ram, of course, service was very important. He looked up to Ram and became the servant of Ram. So Dasya is also there, but in the mood also of friendship, because that was their bond of friendship. This pledge that they would help one another to retrieve their kidnapped wife. Different circumstances. In the painting, there's some jewelry by the side of Ramchandra's bow and near the fire. And those jewelries are Sita's. As she was flying over Rishimukh mountain, she thought maybe Ram will be able to find me if he finds some of the jewelry, and he recognized the jewelry. After the vow was taken, there's Jambavan observing everything, Hanuman observing everything, Lakshman behind Lord Ramachandra. Here's another painting style, the broken chariot. On the bottom of the painting, there's Jatayu getting chopped by Ravana and getting his wings chopped right off. He fell to the ground. Not yet dead, because Ramchandra met him before he was finished. And then continuing without his chariot, there's where she drops her jewelry on top of Rishimukh mountain. Well, this is an artist's way of depicting the scene. This is another artist depicting the same scene. There's Sita being carried away by Ravana. Now here Vijay Sharma has him still in the chariot. There's Jatayu attacking while still in the chariot, and is chopping Jatayu. So they had preserved the ornaments that Sita had thrown over the side of whatever the conveyance was that she was riding, and showed them to Ramachandra, who recognized everything. Showed them to Lakshman. Do you recognize this? Do you recognize that? These are Sita's ornaments. So she flew over Rishimukh mountain. She was heading from where they were heading in it. So it means heading in a southerly direction. Because when she was kidnapped, they didn't know which direction they went in, or which direction Ravana went in. At least that was, the Leela. The omniscient personality God that knew everything anyways. So there's Ram looking very, very sad, seeing this ornament, that ornament, and by seeing the ornament, remembering Sita. Because that's the nature of the paraphernalia of the personality of Godhead or his associates, the paraphernalia reminds one of the person who has that paraphernalia. And it's natural, a natural reminder. It's certainly a transcendental reminder. It's really easy to figure out who's who here because Sugriva's got the crown on. And Hanuman has this nice little gumshoe and pointing out different items, etc., etc., etc. It's an important scene. And then the bond between the two was to regain their kidnapped wife. Ram volunteered first, I'll help you. And Sugriva was doubtful. You don't know how powerful is my brother, Bali. He's this and he's that and he's the other. One of the details, he Bali, had this practice that every morning when he would get up and perform his morning duties, he would take bath in the sacred places of the four directions. So he could zoom through the air, take bath in the eastern sea, take bath in the southern sea, take bath in the western sea, and come back to Kishkinda. So he very powerful, gifted personality. So to demonstrating to Sugriva his prowess, this is a carving. It is meant to show the 7 sal trees, and with one arrow he pierced all 7 sal trees. And then there was the dead carcass of a big, gigantic demon, and with a flick of his bow he was able to pick up the carcass of Dundubi, which was very, very big, and effortlessly lift it, flip it. So knowing the power of Ramachandra, then Sugriva was instructed to go entice him to come out of the palace and engage in battle. When they come out of the palace, engage in battle, then I'll be able to fire the arrow. This particular painting is showing Sugriva with the garland, because that happened the second time around. This is the first time around. He doesn't have the garland, and he's going to get smashed because Bali was stronger. B.G. Sharma painting, there's Ram ready to go, but he didn't fire the arrow. And he was nearly finished by Bali was so powerful. And when he came back, back to the bare little bit of his life left, then and why didn't you fire the arrow? There's a nice discussion. We covered this already, but it's a nice discussion. Ram said, I couldn't tell the difference between the two of you because you look alike so much, and so I didn't fire an arrow. I didn't want to kill the wrong one. And the unspoken part was, but this is from our Sri Vaishnava Acharyas, he didn't say, but he was considering, he's the offender. Vali is the offender. He kidnapped your wife. Not only he kidnapped your wife, he was cohabiting with your wife. So he's an offender and he's to be punished. But you're also an offender. So what way was Sugriva an offender? He didn't properly respect twice. He didn't properly respect Vibhishan. No, Lakshmana, thank you. Lakshmana. Meaning, specifically, this is our Sri Vaishnava Acharyas. Twice they were sitting together, Ram and Sugriva, and Sugriva made a proper sitting place for Lord Ramachandra. I mean, the proper sitting place means a bough of green leaves, because that's opulence in the forest. So he sat on some green leaves from a tree. And then he did the same for himself. But didn't make any arrangement for Lakshmana. Then the same thing happened again. So Ramachandra didn't say, Ramachandra didn't say, you were an offender as is he. Rather, he said, so we can distinguish the two of you, why don't you wear a garland? And for the life of me, I've always pondered, when they're fighting literally nail, life and death, what's a garland going to do? It's going to fall off. But it wasn't just the garland, it was the gesture of A and B, that Lakshman made the garland, because who else was there to make the garland? So Lakshman made the garland. Then Lakshman offered the garland to Sugriva, which signified his acceptance of him, and thus, Sugriva had to bow down to get the garland from Lakshmana. So 3 gestures, and he's now forgiven. So his offense to Lakshmana was forgiven by Lakshmana. So he's no longer looking like his brother or in the same category as his brother. You're different. Here's your garland. Go for it. And so he did. And wearing the garland, he was in this midst of his battle, and Ramchandra now could make the proper distinction and fired an arrow and shot Vali in the chest. When Vali was shot with an arrow in the chest, he turned around to see where that arrow came from, and he saw Ramchandra with his bow, and the math was quick. He fired this. I didn't see him. There we see Sugriva with a nice garland on. And there's Vali with an arrow in his chest, saying bad things to Ramachandra. What kind of a person are you? You don't follow the codes of conduct. You're standing behind a tree and killing your opponent. But what have I done to offend you? And you're killing me. This fault, that fault, the other fault, the whole string of fault finding. Ramchandra just listened and responded one by one by one. I am the descendant of the Ikshvaku dynasty, and it is our solemn duty to give protection to people who are innocent and to punish offenders. And you're an offender. In fact, the offense that you've made is punishable by death. And, cohabiting the younger brother, Sugriva is your younger brother. The younger brother is to be looked at by the elder brother as like a son, and taken care of and protected like a father protects his son. And so here you are, cohabiting with your younger brother's wife. So there's, triple offense. And by law, this is punishable with death. So to kill you is the right thing. And a Kshatriya that fails to punish a wrongdoer, then the Kshatriya gets the same reaction as the wrongdoer, failing to punish him. So you're to be punished, and this is the appropriate punishment. And oh, by the way, standing behind the tree, although you're speaking very elevated words, but you're the body of a Vanara. And it's Kshatriyas would engage in combat with prey in the forest, sometimes behind in disguise or from a hiding place. It's not a violation of Dharma. And you of all people, you're accusing me of violating Dharma? So after hearing the admonishment of Ramachandra, he then 3 things. Vali accepted his wrongdoing. He accepted that the punishment that he received was correct. He made a formal arrangement to return his wife, Sugriva's wife, back, and he requested Sugriva to might have a son named Angada, and you please accept custody of my son and treat him like your son. So those exchanges were taking place before he left his body. So Sugriva accepted all of that responsibility, and the particular time of the year was towards the end of the summer, and now is about to begin the rainy season. So Sugriva, was a formal bathing ceremony, Abhishek, and he became the formal king, crowned as king, and then he took his residence in the palace that was occupied by Bali, now occupied by him. The younger brother is now the king. And because it was the 4 months of the rainy season about to begin, he said, we'll go look for Sita after the 4 months of rainy season. Well, guess what? During those 4 months, he got very attached to being in the palace. He forgot his promise and indulged in sense gratification. Sometimes those things happen. And it happened to Sugriva. Although he's an elevated person, and in a higher sense, he understands the personality of Godhead. So there goes Hanuman to remind tactfully Sugriva, because previously Hanuman was his minister, and he looked up to and was the servant of, wise servant of, minister of Sugriva. So he spoke nicely, but it is insufficient. Hanuman plays the role of a spiritual master by reminding the conditioned soul that one shouldn't forget one's service to the Lord when there is a little opulence. All these opulences are nothing but the mercy of the Lord. So, what's that?
From our
There's some noise.
some rain, it's raining.
Raining outside.
That's noise of rain?
No. With some shower or bathroom if somebody uses.
Okay. No one's getting wet. So he didn't quickly move. So there's Lakshman consulting Ramachandra. He hasn't done what he promised. So there exits Lakshmana to go confront Sugriva. And he didn't speak nicely and politely, and he was angry because his master is being disrespected. So he spoke very, very, very strongly, and so strongly that Tara had to calm him down and to say, "Wait a minute, there's Sugriva making an exit stage right." And there she's wearing a nice sari, nice painted. And it worked because she's very diplomatic and is very good with words, and Lakshman was not just because he was bewildered, but the words that she spoke, he understood. He means well, he just because of indulgence, he's become forgetful. But your strong reminders has woken him up, and he'll take care. So Lakshman backed off. So here's some functions. Hanuman already had made his attempt as the minister of Sugriva, and Lakshman came very strongly to remind him, and Sugriva should not get offended by the anger of Ram, as it is due to his feelings of separation from Sita, and he should be tolerated. This is Tara advising her good husband. So they made peace, and Hanuman did his role, Lakshman did his role, and now they're making plans to go in all the 4 directions to find Sita. Hanuman is the special person because they have a reasonable idea that they are headed in a southerly direction. So there's a party with Jambavan and Angada and Hanuman and many other Vanaras heading in that southerly direction. So here's Sugriva standing on the left, giving special encouragement, recognizing the qualification of Hanuman, saying, "You're endowed with strength, intelligence, prowess, good judgment, and knowledge of time and place. You should ponder ways to find Sita." You just go in the southerly direction and keep looking. So that happened. But before that happened, here's Hanuman coming before Ramachandra. Ramachandra also recognized, as Sugriva did, Hanuman's qualification. And so he decides to give him his personal ring. Because when you, Hanuman, come before Sita, she's going to wonder, what's this? Who are you? But you can show her this ring so she'll know you're my representative. So it's a very celebrated event. And one, the stepping back from the event and the aesthetics of it, it's an indication of empowering Hanuman as guru. He's already in that role, but now officially, you're my representative. Take this ring, and when you see Sita, cherish the ring. When you see Sita, she'll know. You're my representative. So it was a genuine representative of the personality guided. I don't have any ring. And many persons who are representing the personality guided may not have the Lord's ring, but Hanuman was special. So there's many paintings depicting the same scene because it's a very important event, and gesture become particularly important later. And before leaving, he takes the blessings of Ramachandra, and off the Vanaras go in their various directions to find Sita. That's the mission. Find Sita. Find Sita. So there we go, the four directions. And then the various personalities are depicted, the two wives, and so forth and so on. They look like they're up on top of Rishimukh mountain again. Thus empowered by Ram, Hanuman with other monkey lords and Jambavan proceeded to find Sita. So they headed south. Looks like they passed a mountain range on the way. When they couldn't find, there's details and lengthy descriptions of their search, and they couldn't find. They looked here, they looked there. They thought maybe this, maybe that. And finally they reached the southern tip of India, and it looked hopeless. So Angada decided he was going to fast until death. So he laid down by the seashore to fast till death. And the other Vanaras, except Hanuman, did the same. Now, perched up above, seeing all of this, was Sampati. And Sampati had lost his wings. You know the story. You all know the story, so just retell it with pictures. Because when Jatayu was flying high in the air, he was getting so close to the sun, his elder brother Sampati thought he might burn in the sun, and so he opened his wings and tried to cover Jatayu from the sun, and his wings burned. So he fell to the ground, unable to fly anymore. And that's a little difficult for a vulture if he can't fly. How's he going to get his meals? So somehow he made it all the way from where he was to here, the southern tip of India, and he looks from this mountain peak, looking down and seeing all these Vanaras fasting till death. He thought, yummy, lunch. I don't have to go anywhere, because I can't go anywhere. So he kind of hopped his way down because he couldn't fly. As he got closer and closer to where they were, he heard them speaking. And what they were speaking about included hearing about Jatayu. And when he heard about Jatayu, he became very interested. I want to hear more about Jatayu. So as he was hearing and hearing and hearing, he's also like Jatayu. He's a talking vulture. He meets with the dejected Vanaras and hears their plight. They're searching for Sita. And when his wings returned, he now, knows about his brother. He knows about what happened because he heard from the Vanaras. And he's now free to go where he would like to go. So he flies off. When he flies off, then the Vanaras are left with this dilemma of Hanuman. But Hanuman didn't remember his powers. So here's Jambavan reminding Hanuman of his powers. Hanuman, you can do it. And as he's speaking, then the memory of Hanuman, of these amazing and a half, and it's the biggest section of the whole book. And other sections take, some take 11,000 years, and some take, his youth up to 12 years, and then 12 years in the marriage with Sita and all that, just touch on them. But this is certainly what just touch on them. But this is certainly what the glory of Hanuman is at its maximum in Sundarakanda. The obstacles that he meets to cross, Lankini, when he gets on the other side, is searching for Sita, and details sent by Ravana, because she'll think I'm a bad person like him. So the story of Ram. Anyway, details. The Sundarakanda is really a wonderful kanda. And while he's there, and Ravana comes, and more intimidation, so he sees it firsthand and hears it firsthand. He's threatening her this way, that way. If you don't yield, I'll send my cook and come and chop you in pieces. We'll have you for breakfast. And lovely guy, huh? One more thing. I want to going there and meeting people instead of where would we stay, logistics and all that. Meeting people instead of where would we stay, logistics and all that. It became known that in Sri Lanka, there is kind of like Lanka. There is kind of like violence is commemorating where this and that and the other and the other and the other. And it's not so in Sri Lanka. Thanks to time and materialism, purity and the essence all around the world over time. Yeah, I think that's a good question. And what can we do today to help ensure that happens and help ensure the opposite doesn't happen? Propagating is one thing, and maintaining is another thing. Not easy. Maintenance is take goodness. There's so many nice examples. In ISKCON, sure. The worship. So that's up to all of you guys. You're the future of ISKCON. May Krishna be with you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for your wonderful class. I had a question regarding Hanuman's powers. I think
This is my understanding. He had shape-changing abilities, yes. Some ministerial work to find out. So he immediately understood not only friend, but the Supreme Personality of God. Naturalist, remembrance of his, that the naturalist, remembrance of his, that the